Can I have your attention? Thanks, everybody. So sorry about the seating arrangements tonight. I think the Board of Education had some kind of meeting that they were having here, and they've taken most of our chairs, so apologize for that. I don't think they expected as many people, and two, they thought we were meeting at the courthouse, so I apologize for this. This will be a relatively short meeting, but call this regular session meeting of the Budget Committee to order. I say apologize for the chairs. We do have a new segment of our meetings now where we have public comment, and we've had two individuals that indicated that they wanted to address the Budget Committee tonight, so I'd like to do that first. And first of all, Mr. Don Jenkins. Come right up here to the podium, Mr. Jenkins. We don't have a microphone for you, but TV and everything will pick it up real good.
Somehow I think I might be heard by some. Well, I'm sure you're tired of me and my comments, but to be clear, I'm not going to stop. I do have a few pointed questions before y'all deliberate. Why does this body not openly discuss the repurposing of this building, the old Ninth Grade Academy? Why is a massive property tax increase the only tax revenue source ever suggested should not be an all revenue source approach? Why has the Director of Maintenance actions not been called to question when he admits to allowing the Highland Rim School to fall into disrepair? Was this not the same approach used in Blanche? His stated reasons hold no water given the proposed new school plan has never been agreed to by the citizens of this county. How many more schools are going to be proposed as soon as this one is approved? Do we get to know this, or is it a secret? Will there be yet another property tax increase then? Why are not the members of this body called to question when their vote will directly and favorably impact their financial situation? Why does the he or them not recuse themselves? Do not the citizens of Lincoln County deserve a fair, legal, and ethical body of representatives? Why are there not targeted salary increases at the lowest end versus everyone getting a raise on top of the raise given last year? You created a new pay system last year. Create another one this year to address the low end. Can anyone tell me how it is ethical to take someone's home who is on a fixed income in favor of a salary increase for those making in excess of $100,000 a year, or building a new school when this building could easily be repurposed? And one last comment, Mr. Chairman, I will take exception. You knew this meeting was going to happen. You've got elderly, you've got women sitting on the floor, but you're not. Thank you.
If somebody would like to have my chair, I'd be glad to give it up. I don't think there's another one. I'd like to have it. Sure. All right. Next on the agenda is Mr. Steve Albert.
Yeah.
I guess since there's two meetings tonight, I'll be giving this 2 times tonight. There was a quote, an official quoted saying that the state comptroller would step in and could raise the taxes more than the ridiculous tax increase this commission has proposed. That was not true. It was meant to intimidate the citizens of Lincoln County to accept this outrageous tax increase. The comptroller would only add a tax as a last resort if the cuts didn't work. I spoke with State Representative Clay Dodgett's office, and if the comptroller came in, they would cut the wasteful spending the commission has done year after year. This commission does not want that to happen, and they certainly do not want to cut anything. If this commission had only had a little foresight, you could have raised taxes in small increases instead of breaking our backs all at once. You will never attract anyone to this city or county with what might be the second highest tax rate in the state of Tennessee with this increase. If you let the citizens of Lincoln County vote on this tax increase, it would not pass. 24 commissioners, this would be the first place to start cutting the budget. The citizens of Lincoln County can't afford this outrageous tax increase.
Amen.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your comments. All right, let's move on to the agenda here. We've got, first of all, got the county mayor. I have nothing. Mayor doesn't have anything. Second on the agenda, county attorney Ed Sims. We had requested that he get some information in regards to the wheel tax, and I believe Mr. Sims has that information.
I've done that, Mr. Chairman. Just information is what I'm gonna throw out today. Of course, the decision is yours on whether or not we adopt another wheel tax. But, the statute allowing the wheel tax, TCA 58102, it's been on the books for years and years. We've used it before. We've got 2 previous wheel taxes. Our first wheel tax was, by private act. It was done in 1979. It's the Private Acts of 1979, Chapter 79, and we had a $25 wheel tax. It was to be used 50% retiring school bonds and 50% repair bridges and roads, retire indebtedness for bridges and roads, or such other uses directed by the county legislative body. And then on September the 18th of 2012, we passed a $50 countywide wheel tax. It used to use 59% repair of bridges and roads, 28% to retire the indebtedness of the county, and 13% for such other uses directed by the county legislative body. The issue that I think that precipitated me doing this information search had to do with whether or not, if we do adopt an additional wheel tax, that those receiving a property tax relief could be exempt from that. Apparently Shelby County has done that. Well, I went to our reliable source of CTAS, and they said, we can't do it. And we just cannot do it. And I can read you the rationale, but I know you probably need your time for something else. But that's something that we cannot do. I've talked to the county trustee and the county clerk, and they both think it would be very difficult to administer even if we did do it. So anyway, that's kind of where the wheel tax is. I have drafted a wheel tax resolution that I passed out to all the members. Just a draft, just a thought. And the way I drafted it had to do with a $25 additional wheel tax. It was to be used for purposes that are directed by the county legislative body, not directed for anything in particular. And just so you'll know, in the statute, there is an exemption for disabled veterans and former prisoners of war. That's in the statute. We could do that. But we can't do just the tax relief exemption for the wheel tax. So I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
You said that there's an exemption for veterans and
Well, it's
prisoners of war.
disabled veterans. Disabled veterans, 100% permanent total disability, service-connected cause, and any former prisoner of war. They're exempt.
Is that in our others too?
I don't think so. But it's exempt by statute, so we can do that.
Yeah.
Even if it's not in our resolution.
I think Phyllis does.
She
Yeah,
exempts it.
I think the 100% disabled veterans get.
That's in the statute. That's part of the law anyway, whether it's in our resolution or not.
Getting back to what you said about Shelby County, are they actually doing what?
Well, you know, when I talked to Steve Austin, he's with CTAS, and he had never heard of it. Of course, he's got his ear to the ground, and he didn't think it could be done because it was not specifically allowed in the statute. And what's not in the statute, you just can't do. If it's not in the statute that you can exempt certain types, then you can't exempt other types without a statute change. That would require the action of the legislature. But it'd be very hard to administer because of the timing and this sort of thing. Our trustee and our county clerk said it would just be virtually impossible. And we're chasing $25, okay? We're doing a lot of work to chase $25, which half a tank of gas, you know? So anyway.
Questions for Mr. Sims? Anybody? All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, folks, I guess tonight we're just gonna kind of take these items as they come up. What's the will of the body in regards to, the wheel tax?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
believe I brought it up, that wheel tax and resolution for 25, so we could ease some of the tax burden with the seniors. If we could give them the $25 discount off the 100. Since we can't do that, it's not gonna help them at all to increase that $25. It'll help our general fund going forward. But it's not gonna help the seniors.
So, no motion to be made tonight in regards to that? Understand, we can take that up at any time, can't we, Mr. Sims? It doesn't have to be like at budget time, like say a property tax or something.
Whenever
like
you
that.
want to. It requires, 2 readings, and 2/3. 2/3 majority.
It must pass by 2/3 majority, 2 consecutive meetings. And then it's subject to referendum with 910 signatures from the public that would call it out into get a vote on that. So
That's correct.
that's kind of how that works. All right, if there's no motions in regard to that item, we'll move on to the next item, getting to the finance director. I did wanted to comment that there's been quite a bit of misinformation out there and get some calls. People understood that there was supposed to be a school board meeting tonight, and to my knowledge, there is not a school board meeting that was scheduled for tonight, and it said it was supposed to be here at Ninth Grade Academy. Also indicated that this budget committee was some kind of special session, but this is our regularly scheduled time. We always meet on the first Tuesday at 6 o'clock, so just our regular meeting. We are having a special session of the county commission, which will be at 7:30 tonight, and there was a lot of reasons that we couldn't wait until the 15th of August to get to try to get a budget. The main reason is the finance department just can't throw the end of year closing all together in 2 weeks, and essentially we've got until the end of the month to get that in. But you know, that was the reason for the special session. I think got a comment or two. Got Miss Sandy Metcalf, the Chief Financial Officer at the jail, would like to make a quick comment or two. Miss Sandy?
Ready?
And Miss Joyce McConnell behind her.
Sheriff.
Sheriff of Lincoln County.
Thank you.
So I would like to start out by addressing this committee, your hard work and dedication to what you've done to try to pull this budget together. Along with the finance department, I know they've had a minimum of 10 draft budgets that they have done, and a lot of work and dedication goes into that, and we appreciate it more than you know. I'd also like to address tonight a few things in reference to the continuing budget and some budget cuts also. Lincoln County Sheriff's Department is the largest department in our local government besides the school system. We employ 90 employees consisting of deputies, investigations, school resource officers, courthouse security, corrections, and administration. We're a 24/7, 365-day-a-year department with the largest liability of the county due to the nature of our job. Working on a continuing budget for this department is not good business practice, as it's not for the county either. As this office has approximately an $8 million budget that I take serious about handling and being a good steward of the Lincoln County tax dollars. I would like to start by addressing some shortfalls that we're experiencing in our department based on the current circumstance that we're in. The governor has allocated funds for this county and other counties and cities across the state to place school resource officers within our schools. This process for applying and being granted these funds have been placed on hold due to our current budget circumstance. Law enforcement across Tennessee is having a very hard time recruiting individuals to join our law enforcement team due to the way of the world today. We are now behind the curve on being able to put up to 7 more school resource officers in our schools because of the city of Fayetteville, along with the surrounding counties, have potentially applied and may be able to hire the qualified individuals that could have been a candidate for our office. The safety of our children and school employees is of the utmost importance to this department and should be to all citizens of this county. As I stated earlier, working 24/7, 365 days a year, it is impossible to work solely on emergency purchases, as we are having to deal with daily operations that have to be handled. Most are mandated by the law and the Tennessee Corrections Institute. The time spent working without fiscal year 23-24 budget in place is detrimental and will take time to recover, and some things just can't wait. I would also like to address some budget cuts from the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Blackwelder and myself cut approximately $130,000 prior to him leaving office to help with this budget circumstance. Also, the current Sheriff, McConnell, approximately $85,000 to also help with the budget circumstance, totaling approximately $215,000.
One of the things that I wanted to address is, and I just learned this afternoon, because I was under the impression that this had not been cut from our budget, was the travel/training budget for our department. The cut was made to both the sheriff and the jail budget to cut the travel training budget for the 23-24 fiscal year. Most people don't understand what is mandated to have certified law enforcement. After going to the academy for the initial training course, you have other training that is required along with CEs to keep up their certifications. This department we've worked really hard to be the best department across the state of Tennessee, but with the proper training and CEs, we simply couldn't be. And what I'm talking about on these certifications and training, you know, we're kind of a different beast. We have to keep up certain certifications to be able to work in law enforcement. We have sniper training. We have instructor development training, and that's training that trains the trainer to come back and train our other officers so we don't have to travel anywhere else. We have SWAT training. We have DRE, drug recognition enforcement training. We have SRO training. We have specialized training for the deputies and investigators. We have TCI training, which is Tennessee Correctional Institute training that our correction officers has to do. We have pepper ball training. We have taser training. We have courthouse security. So we risk losing a lot of certifications if we don't do this training. We try our best to train as much as we can locally, but oftentimes we have to travel in order to be able to do that. And I think that y'all have cut pretty much our budget on that. The thing about it is, if you'll notice, and I'm sure all of you have, most major civil liability lawsuits against law enforcement deals with training or the lack of training. And so to save the county taxpayers' money, we try to be the most trained department that we can be. And we can't do this without a budget to do it. You know, we have, as like Sandy said, we tried our best to make every concession that we could to save the taxpayers' money, but this is one concession that we can't accept. We can't do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Ms. Sandy. Also got Trustee Mary Jane Porter. Did you have some comments that you'd like to make as well in regards to?
Thank you. I just feel like I need to clarify some things for you about, and I know you've heard it 1,000 times about getting this budget passed and how it is a ripple effect on everything when it comes down to these taxes. I went to a meeting 3 weeks ago, and the state assessor, when he said, we don't have a budget passed, he said, well, Mary Jane, you do realize what that's going to do to postponing being able to get your bills passed or processed. And I said, well, what are you talking about? He said, maybe the end of October, longer, depending on how long it takes to get the budget passed. So
So I want you to understand that whenever that is taken care of, then we have to get in a packing order to go with a company to have these bills processed. And they're only going to take them as they come with the 95 counties. There's only 2 companies in the state of Tennessee that print invoices. And I wouldn't want them to put somebody in front of me so I know how it feels. I know they're not going to put us in front of anybody else. But where I'm going with this is the state mandates that you get 5 months to pay your taxes without any interest. You can pay them on the first Monday in October, and they are due payable without any interest through the 28th day of February. Next year being leap year, the state code says I have to start interest on March the 1st, so we get 1 day. But where I'm going with this, if I can't send these bills out for 30 days, the average taxpayer is going to call me and say, well, where's that extra 30 days? There is no extra 30 days. They're due February 28th. We all in our minds are thinking taxes are going up, so now we're going to put a burden on more on the taxpayer by saying, instead of having 5 months, you've got 4 months, or ever how long it takes us to get this process done. So I just want you to understand you're probably going to get calls before this is over with. I will get many calls, and that is fine. But I just wanted all of you to understand the importance, and I know you've heard it 1,000 times, and I appreciate what you're doing. But it goes back to the old saying, you can't spend it till you collect it. And with that, I mean, the longer it takes us to get this process done, it's the longer that I can get my office in shape and ready to collect it. And so the longer we do, there's more time that's coming in. But again, I appreciate it, but I felt like I just needed to let you know that any day that we're not sending this bill out in October, is they're not going to get an extra day come March. Because I know that people are going to think that. But the Tennessee Code says that's it. Just want to let you know, anybody got any questions?
Questions for the trustee?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
All right, folks, next we have on the agenda, the Finance Director, Mr. Jason Nix.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll start with a little bit of backing up the last budget meeting. So last budget meeting, we were here and I explained how we had gotten an 86-cent proposal that actually failed with the commission last time. So just to give you a little history, 36 cents is what we, at that time, had put forward. That also included paying nonprofits, and that was the bare bones at the time to pay for the general fund. Add 7 cents to that number, and that included the sheriff's 5% pay raises on the sheriff's department, and also the new pay scale that does help, as one of our citizens here, it does help the most bottom of the run as far as employees. So that was part of the pay scale. So that was 86 cents. Yeah, because you go 43 cents, 36, 7 is 43, 43 cents, you double it for the schools, and you get 86. That failed. So finance was tasked with the job of making some more cuts, which we went through, and with the advice of a lot. We had heard multiple commissioners about travel. We just heard about travel from the sheriff's department. We went in there, we added up all the travel and staff, in-staff development line items. It totaled, I want to say 136 some thousand. Take that in half, it was 67,840. Roughly the value of a penny for the property tax rate. So there's a penny. We took the adjustments, which we found out from Mr. McConnell at the last budget. We couldn't really factor those in at that time, but she had made adjustments on the salary, and as you heard, that 85,000, there's another penny. And then we made other cuts. We went through the whole general 101 budget, the whole thing, line by line. We took things, miscellaneous office supplies, where we saw there might have been a little buffer, $2,000 or $3,000 at a time. Gasoline, which once again, the sheriff, I think that was the jail side. Some line items that weren't used in excess over the last couple of years, we brought those down. We didn't zero out any line. No line that we cut was ever zeroed out. It was cut, but not zeroed out. Licensing fees on the commissioners, where we saw there was a little bit extra there that we may not have paid this coming year. We just went into a lot of cuts like that was just paper cuts along the way. That did add up to another cent. So that's 3 cents. Once again, double that is 6 cents. So we came to an 80-cent property tax raise, which once again, after the double, 40 cents, the doubling, that's 80 cents. So a tax rate of 2.9020 is what's being pushed forward as far as finance. Now, to piggyback on the sheriff's department, Miss Mary Jane, and other departments, I've talked to Lisa. It's as far as not passing a budget, I'll speak on the finance side. Typically, a budget is passed at the end of June in the fiscal year, and you rock on, and we have August the 30th is our deadline with the state to pass a budget, have it all in place, year end closed out. If you don't, it's, you know, you can ask for extension and you may or may not get it, but that 30th is the deadline to break in with no exception. That's nearly a 2-month process in our department, that we usually have 2 months to get all this done. So we're already cut by a month already. So the essence of a budget being passed is in our world is very agreeable. The constraints of the finance department are many. We can't close prior year till the budget's passed. No exceptions. Payroll across the whole county right now, including teachers. I mean, it touches everyone. So no one's getting step raises. No one's getting promotions right now. All because there's no funding in place for that. It's just not there. We're predicated on a continuing budget, yes. Well, that goes back to July 1 of 22. That's how they look at that. There's no money there to fund this stuff. Now, once a budget passes, there will be retro pay. Everyone will get this new pay scale, hopefully. Or if we stay on the same pay scale, they'll get their normal step raises. It'll all be predicated back to you. But these employees have already went through 2 pay cycles. Teachers are coming up on, I think they went through one. They're coming up on another one. And they're paid once a month. And the more cycles that goes through is more human error when we do go back and do retro pay and get everybody put on their right scale. And by the way, the sheriff's department, just to add another wrinkle, they're so hard for employees, we hear it all the time. There's some that's been hot, that's been with the county, and now they left the county. In this new year, technically new fiscal year, we're gonna have to put them back on the payroll books just to pay them the retro pay because they weren't due that. That's just right, that's by the law. So there's just a lot of facets to it. Every payroll that goes by, I just think about one human error that could possibly go forward, which is findings on an audit, and it just implicates the whole county. Also, the further this goes, the comptroller does have their eyes on us. And it's eyes you just don't want to be in, because I've talked to the comptroller's office. They are watching this process. They're watching Lincoln County. And this could implicate state funding. Dina looked up today, between state and federal funding over the whole budget, it's about 65% of the funding comes from state and federal. Okay, that pulls back. That's over half of our funding right there. It's just, we're in a dire situation as far as timing. Timing is key. And Dina, you've got go through your list of some stuff as far as what you had written down too, as far as how it implicates the finance department.
We balance 12 funds between the school, the general fund, the highway. We have 12 funds that we have to balance from FY 22-23, and then we have to balance again for 23-24. And it usually takes us 2 months to get everything done. And here we have just 1 month left to get a budget. And most of the time we have a tax rate. And we can't even do the things we need because we don't have a tax rate. We do payroll for over 900 county employees. Schools, sheriff, the jail, the people at the courthouse. Here, you know, it's a lot of work. And there's, you know, we've got to set up reserves. We have to know the laws that affect, you know, the payrolls. So we do need a budget. And what we come to you all with, when we say we need 86 cents, we're not joking. And that we can't cut any more. And that we're down to 80 cents. And if we're going to cut any more, it's going to be up to the commissioners to cut, and it's going to be employees that they're going to cut. And so they're going to have to go to the employee and say, hey, we don't, you know, you're gonna have to go. It's not gonna be fun. Because not every office has 6 and 7 employees. Most offices have the office official and 2 employees. So it's hard. And you all are saying, you know, it's the school's fault. It's not the school's fault. You all need to stop blaming the school. 101 needs the money. And that's where it all ends. It's not Highland Rim. And all the things that everybody is doing on Facebook needs to stop. If you've got questions, you need to go to finance and ask for the information. Because the crap lying around needs to stop. So there.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, let's get back to, Mr. Nix. Got, some items here.
Yeah, like I said, on the appropriation resolution, y'all have your packet in front of you. So, I don't know if you want to go one by one. If you want to go one by one or all together, it's part of appropriation resolution. Appropriation resolution.
Are there any other revenue sources that are not listed on here that we got the budgetary process?
You know, we had the only thing I could think of would be some pilot monies that I know you've talked about. And we actually had a meeting with the city, between Bill and Dean and I, and about monies that were perceived maybe not been paid or paid on time, but we got that straightened out. There's actually, year 1 was last year, but they have a 0% as far as how they paid in year 1. So year 23 this year, or actually they'll be billed in October and should have it paid by December. But once again, as far as budgetary practice going forward, it's not money it's money we never received yet. And it's with knowing it could come, it could. But as far as the 80 cents that you got in front of you, even with 80 cents and that projection is showing still a negative red number. It's still showing $500,000 upside down number at the end. So if you could add that to it, it would mitigate that number a little bit.
Yeah, but the problem I got with that is that everything else on the budget is based on the accrual accounting. What you're talking about is based on cost accounting. And even with accrual, all we're gonna be cost. And I think we're accrual. So if that's something that we know is gonna come in, it doesn't matter when it comes in, as long as it comes in this fiscal year.
But how do we know it comes in? We never audited.
It's got to come in. It's got to come in. It's just like like we pay for personal property taxes.
Well, J.C. Houseman's has got to come in. They filed bankruptcy. It's not coming in.
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about one specific.
I understand. I do. I know we've had this conversation.
Yeah. Are there any other revenue streams other than that?
No.
Any grants? Possible grants?
Not on the one-on-one side.
I still think the solar farm should be reflected in this budget as money that's coming. That's going to reduce the liability. And we still have a liability, but with efficient and cost-effective management, we should come out okay.
I would agree. I would agree that in the end, I think it comes out in the wash better. It's just, as a budgetary rule, it's just, I can't count for it enough. I've never audited it.
And I think I got 2 issues with 2 line items. One is investment income. You know, we got $768,000 this past year, and we're projecting $340. I've been told that because of the ARP money that may be going away, but we can control that. We can keep that in the bucket until we get ready to disperse it to earn the interest on that. And I got a problem with the building permit. The $140,000 is the same amount that it was 2 years ago. And I think I was told that the reason why it was higher this time was 368 was because of Jack Daniels. But when I drive around the county, I see a bunch of buildings going on, and I'm just adding those in my head, and I'm anticipating it's going to be more than 140. And if you put something in that's above 140, that's an assumption that you're making, which is what budgets are all about.
But it's gotta be a believable assumption, and
Gotta be
I think it'd be a believable assumption at that. Now, I'm not saying that's what you're
Well,
not
now-
saying, but I am saying, I thought that when I talked to Charles Hunter regarding, building permits, I would think he would probably concur that we're on track for 2 years ago number as opposed to last year's number, that's not been honored, by the way. On that particular item.
Well, you guys got the number, I have to take your word for it, I still disagree with it.
No,
Well, I got one thing for an expense, how about the dead stock contract, that's $2 we could come down to $278. That's $86,000 a year, it doesn't benefit a lot of these people in here. But they're paying it.
We voted for that contract and
We can vote again.
you go bring it up again, but like I say, it's a lot bigger issue than what a lot of people portray it as. It's really a public health issue. We've had these situations where we didn't have it for a little while because our contract, the old people that we dealt with for years and years, quit, just hung it up. And so we had to go out there and try to find, and if it hadn't been for Mr. Mansfield, and his job, he put it all together for a regional kind of deal and was able to put them together where we had somebody. But man, we had people throwing cows in ditches and, dead cows and big dead animals like that, can cause some serious smelly problems. I had a neighbor that quit feeding his cows a number of years ago, just let them starve. We reported it time and time again. You talk about the smell of dead cows right behind my house, It's pretty aggravating. But anyway, that's something that, can bring up and vote on, but we haven't approved that contract for another year. Was that for a year, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when did we do that in May? It was pretty recently.
They're abiding by their end of the contract, they're operating.
Yeah, I'm thinking. So, anyway, we have signed a contract for a year, so. Other questions for the finance director?
Question. So we exist under the 81 Act, and the 81 Act is very simple in what it states. While I believe that we should have a rate of 86 cents, and I voted against all of them that were lower than that the last time, the 81 Act simply states that the finance director will bring a budget to the county, and the county will vote on that entire budget, with no exceptions, no pullouts, no anything. That's what the 81 Act says. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Jason, but I'm almost 100% sure that's what it says. So, as we live, breathe, and always have since 81 under the 81 Act, and the finance director and his department have brought us a budget that I don't necessarily agree with. And that I think that it's 6 cents short, and I think we'll be here a year and a half from now doing this again, but that's not what the 81 Act says. So, I would move appropriations resolution, and it'll be the next motion, but at 2.902.
Okay,
Even
motion.
though I don't necessarily agree.
Motion to approve the appropriations resolution. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Mr. Sanders makes a second. Any discussion about the appropriations resolution? We've been through this a number of times now. All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. All right, next item would be, and we'll go back and get the financials there at the end, but the next item would be the tax levy resolution. And that's, what was that rate again?
2.902.
I would move that we approve the tax levy resolution. Is there a second?
With the appropriation being approved, you got it, so I said.
Second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion on the tax levy? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. All right, next is the nonprofit appropriation resolution you have in front of you. The will of the body in regards to the nonprofit resolution.
I move to approve, and I also like to say, I think next year we need to take a strong look at that, at that particular line item. I think we need to get a little harder when we look at things, we need to get justification that the money is being spent exactly like it's supposed to. So, but I make the motion to approve it this time.
You talk about the nonprofits?
Yes, sir. I just have to verbalize.
Mr. Taylor makes a motion to approve the nonprofit appropriation resolution. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Bonnie Caldwell seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, let's go back and get the financials.
We are attached to the packet, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to.
Move to approve.
Mr. Taylor moves to approve.
I'll second.
Jason, second to that. Any discussion, any questions in regards to the nonprofit? Or financials, excuse me. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. All right. Okay. I didn't have anything in my segment. Mr. Frederick, did you want to speak? Okay. All right, anybody else got anything else? Entertain a motion that we adjourn. Taylor moves, we adjourn. Brian seconds. All in favor, aye.